My stepmom claimed my dad promised her the lake house until the lawyer showed everyone the deed he transferred to me 3 years ago. The conference room went silent. Veronica's face turned the color of overripe tomatoes. My half-brother Trent stared at the papers like they'd personally betrayed him. That's impossible, Veronica hissed. Gregory told me that property was mine. The lawyer, Mr. Patterson, adjusted his glasses. The deed transfer was executed in January 2021. Your father was of sound mind and made his wishes clear. I'd been 19 when Dad called me to his office. He'd just gotten his diagnosis. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. 6 months, maybe 8. I need you to understand something, he'd said, sliding the deed across his desk. Your stepmom married me for money. I was stupid enough to think a 28-year-old wanted a 52-year-old man for love. He'd caught her 3 months into their marriage, texting her actual boyfriend about how much longer she'd have to play house with the old man. But Dad was smart. He didn't confront her. Instead, he quietly transferred assets and documented everything. Veronica had played the devoted wife beautifully. She'd posed for Instagram with green smoothies, posted tearful captions about fighting cancer together. The comments called her an angel. Meanwhile, I was the one sleeping on his couch during chemo weeks. I held the basin when he vomited. I learned to flush his port. I sat through every oncologist appointment while Veronica had spa days, thinking I didn't know. When Dad died last month, Veronica showed up to the funeral in a black Chanel dress and diamond earrings. Knew I'd noticed. She cried perfectly for the cameras. That evening, she'd announced she'd be keeping the lake house. Your father and I spent so many beautiful weekends there, she'd said. We'd never once gone there together as a family. Now, sitting in this lawyer's office, Veronica's mask was cracking. This is fraud, she spat. He was manipulated. He was sick. Mr. Patterson pulled out another document. Your father anticipated this. He had a psychiatric evaluation done the same day. Dr. Chen certified him fully competent. I watched Veronica's lawyer whisper something in her ear. Her face went pale. There's more, Mr. Patterson continued. Your father left detailed instructions. The renovation costs over the past 3 years have been quite substantial. He kept every receipt. He slid another folder toward Veronica. Your husband tracked approximately $47,000 in improvements you claimed were for his benefit. New kitchen, master bathroom, the boat dock, all paid from joint accounts. Veronica's hands started shaking. Since the property belonged to his daughter at the time, legally, you were improving someone else's asset. Trent finally spoke up. This is bullshit. Mom sacrificed everything for him. I almost laughed. Mr. Patterson wasn't finished. There's also the boat. The 2022 Yamaha yacht purchased last summer for $89,000. Also from joint accounts. Enough, Veronica stood abruptly. I want everything audited. By all means, Mr. Patterson said calmly. Your father requested a full audit. He kept meticulous records. Bank statements, text messages, even GPS data from your phone showing your location during his treatment days. The color drained from Veronica's face completely. She grabbed her purse and stormed toward the door. Trent scrambled after her. Wait, I called out. I stood slowly, meeting Veronica's eyes. The lake house has a rental booked starting next month. Spring break families. They've paid the $6,000 deposit. You have until Friday to remove your belongings. After they left, Mr. Patterson handed me one final envelope. Your father wanted you to open this alone. Inside was a handwritten letter and a USB drive. The letter started, if you're reading this, Veronica finally showed her true colors. The USB contains security footage from the house. Check the dates I've marked. My hands trembled as I plugged the drive into Mr. Patterson's laptop. The first video was dated 3 days after Dad's funeral. I clicked play and watched Veronica walk into Dad's home office with a man I'd never seen before. They were laughing. Then they started opening his safe. The man was younger than Veronica, maybe 25, with a sleeve of tattoos and expensive sneakers. He kissed her neck while she spun the combination. The safe door swung open. Holy shit, the man said, reaching for stacks of cash. Veronica slapped his hand away. Not yet, Dustin. We have to be smart about this. Dustin, so that was the boyfriend's name. They pulled out Dad's coin collection, the vintage watches, the gold bars he'd inherited from his own father. Item after item disappeared into a black duffel bag. What about the daughter? Dustin asked. Veronica laughed. It was nothing like the delicate laugh she used in public. This one was harsh, almost cruel. She's a naive little girl. Gregory kept her sheltered her whole life. She won't know what hit her. My chest tightened. When do we split? Dustin was pawing through Dad's stamp collection now. After probate closes, 6 months, maybe 8. Then we disappear. Veronica held up a Rolex. Switzerland first, then maybe Monaco. The video ended. I sat back, my mind racing. Mr. Patterson remained silent, giving me space to process. There are 12 more videos, he said finally. Your father had cameras installed throughout the house 6 months before he died. Motion activated, date stamped. I clicked the next file. This one was from the master bedroom, 2 weeks after the funeral. Veronica and Dustin were in Dad's bed. I quickly closed it. I don't need to see that one, I muttered. Mr. Patterson nodded. The relevant footage is marked with asterisks. I found one dated a week after the funeral. Veronica was on the phone in the kitchen, her voice low. No, Mother, I told you. The house is worth at least $1.2 million. And there's the cabin in Aspen, the investment accounts. She paused, listening. I know it's taking longer than we thought, but Gregory was smarter than he looked. His daughter gets some things, but the bulk comes to me as the spouse. Another pause. Trust me, I've played this role for 3 years. I can play it a little longer. The next video showed her meeting with someone in a coffee shop. A woman in her 60s with platinum hair and too much jewelry. They spoke in hushed tones, but the camera caught fragments. The attorney is being difficult. Might need to contest the will. She's just a kid. She won't fight back. I recognized the woman. Veronica's mother, Diane. I'd met her twice. Both times she'd looked at me like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. Mr. Patterson cleared his throat. Your father documented quite extensively. There's also evidence of your stepmother accessing his email accounts, his banking information, and attempting to transfer funds before his death. Attempting. Your father set up alerts. Every time she tried something, he was notified. He blocked the transfers and kept screenshots. I shook my head in disbelief. How long did he know? About her intentions? From the beginning, it seems. but he wanted to give her a chance to prove him wrong. She never did. Why didn't he just divorce her? Mr. Patterson pulled out yet another folder. He considered it, but then he realized something. If he died while still married to her, she'd automatically contest anything that didn't go her way. She'd tie up the estate for years. However, if he stayed married and simply ensured everything was ironclad before his death, it would be much cleaner. So he protected me by staying with her? In a manner of speaking, he also protected himself. Your stepmother had threatened him once, early in their marriage. Your father recorded it. She said if he ever tried to leave her, she'd claim abuse. Ruin his reputation. Make sure he lost everything in the divorce. My hands clenched into fists. She's a monster. She's a calculated opportunist, Mr. Patterson corrected. And your father knew it, which is why we're here today. He handed me a thick manila envelope. This contains everything you need. Copies of all the footage, financial records, text messages. Your father also wrote you a letter. A real one, not just instructions. I opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was Dad's handwriting, the same scrawl I'd seen on birthday cards and homework help. My dearest daughter, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you everything while I was alive. I wanted to protect you from the ugliness for as long as possible. By now you've learned the truth about Veronica. I know this must hurt. You tried to like her, to build a relationship with her. That's who you are. Kind, open-hearted, willing to see the best in people. Never lose that. But also never confuse kindness with weakness. I made that mistake with Veronica. I saw red flags and ignored them because I was lonely and foolish. By the time I understood what she really was, I was already sick. I couldn't waste my last months on divorce proceedings and public scandals. I wanted to spend them with you. Every quiet evening we had together, every movie night, every conversation, those were the moments that mattered. Veronica was just background noise. Everything I've left you isn't just money or property. It's freedom. The freedom to build whatever life you want without worrying about financial security. The freedom to make mistakes and recover from them. The freedom to be generous without being taken advantage of. I've also left you responsibility. The lake house isn't just a vacation home. It's where my parents took me every summer. Where I proposed to your mother. Where you took your first steps on the dock. Don't sell it. Rent it if you need income, but keep it in the family. Someday you'll have children, and they deserve to know that history. About Veronica, I've given you all the tools you need to defend yourself. Use them wisely. She'll fight dirty. She'll play the victim. She'll try to turn people against you. Don't sink to her level. Let the evidence speak. I'm proud of you. Not just for being strong during my illness, but for being you. You never complained about the burden I placed on you. You showed up every day with a smile, even when I knew you were exhausted. Even when you should have been out with friends or focusing on school. You sacrificed your senior year for me. I saw it. The college visits you canceled. The prom you missed because I had a bad reaction to treatment. The acceptance to your dream school that you deferred because you couldn't leave me. Go to college now. I've set up a separate trust for your education. It can't be touched by anyone except you. Study whatever you want. Travel. Make mistakes. Be young. I robbed you of enough of that already. And remember, blood isn't everything. Veronica might have been my wife, but you were my reason. For everything. I love you more than all the stars, Dad. I sat in Mr. Patterson's office and cried for the first time since the funeral. Not delicate tears like Veronica's performance. Real, ugly sobbing that made my chest hurt. When I finally composed myself, Mr. Patterson handed me tissues and waited. What do I do now? I asked. That depends. Your father gave you options. You can release the footage publicly, humiliate Veronica, possibly press charges for theft, or you can keep it private. Use it as leverage if she tries anything legal, or you can simply walk away. You have everything you need. She has nothing. What would you do? Mr. Patterson smiled slightly. I'm not allowed to advise you on that, but I will say this. Your father was a strategic man. He didn't collect all this evidence for no reason. He wanted you protected. How you use that protection is up to you. I thought about Veronica's face in the conference room, the shock, the rage, the fear when she realized everything was crumbling. I want to see the rest of the footage first. We spent the next 3 hours going through everything. There were videos of Veronica stealing from Dad's medicine cabinet, prescription painkillers she then sold to Dustin's friends, footage of her pawning his mother's jewelry and replacing it with cubic zirconia, screenshots of her deleting messages from me on Dad's phone so he'd think I wasn't checking in. The worst one was from hospice. Dad's last week. I'd been there every day, but I'd gone home one night to shower and change. The footage showed Veronica coming in, looking around to make sure no one was watching, then removing Dad's oxygen mask. She'd only left it off for a minute, maybe 2. But when the alarm started going off, she'd put it back and left the room before the nurses arrived. She tried to kill him, I whispered. Mr. Patterson's face was grim. That's what it appears to show, yes. Why? He was already dying. Perhaps she wanted to speed the process. Or perhaps she was simply cruel. Some people enjoy having power over the helpless. I felt sick. There's one more thing, Mr. Patterson said. He pulled out a small velvet box. Your father wanted you to have this. Inside was my mother's engagement ring, the one Dad had given her when he was 23 and working 2 jobs to save up for it. The one Veronica had claimed was lost. He hid it, Mr. Patterson explained, in his safety deposit box, along with photos of your mother, letters she wrote him, and your baby blanket. The ring fit perfectly on my right hand. So what's the plan? Mr. Patterson asked. Do you want to file criminal charges? Civil suit? Just wait and see what Veronica does next? I thought about Dad's letter. Don't sink to her level. Let the evidence speak. I want to wait. If she comes after me legally, we'll destroy her. But I'm not going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me angry. Mr. Patterson nodded approvingly. A measured approach. Your father would approve. I gathered all the documents, the USB drive, everything. Mr. Patterson made copies for his records and placed them in his safe. One last thing, he said as I was leaving. Your father set up a second meeting for you, next Tuesday at 2 p.m., with Detective Angela Reeves from the Financial Crimes Division. He reported her. He filed a report 2 months before he died, but he asked that it not be acted upon until after the will reading. He wanted you to have all the leverage first. I drove home in a daze. The apartment I'd shared with Dad felt empty now. All his things were still there. His reading glasses on the coffee table, his jacket on the coat rack, his pills lined up in the kitchen even though he'd never take them again. I'd barely unlocked the door when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? You little bitch. Veronica's voice was pure venom. What did you do? I attended my father's will reading. Same as you. Don't play innocent. You knew about all of this. You manipulated him while he was sick. I almost laughed. You think I manipulated him? Veronica, I was 19 when he transferred the lake house. I didn't even know he'd done it until today. Bullshit. You've been planning this from the beginning, probably since before I even met your father. Believe whatever helps you sleep at night. I'm going to fight this. I'll get the best lawyers in the state. I'll prove he wasn't competent. I'll prove you manipulated a dying man. Go ahead. I have psychiatric evaluations from 2 doctors saying Dad was fully competent. What do you have? Instagram posts where you pretended to love him? Silence. Then, I'll destroy you. With what? Your boyfriend Dustin? The drugs you stole from Dad's medicine cabinet? Or maybe the fact that you tried to suffocate him in hospice? More silent. Longer this time. I don't know what you're talking about. Then you have nothing to worry about. Enjoy the rest of your day, Veronica. I hung up. My phone rang again immediately. I blocked the number. Then Trent texted, "You're going to regret this." I blocked him too. For the first time in months, I felt something like peace. The next morning, I drove to the lake house. It was a 4-hour drive through winding mountain roads. Dad and I had made this trip countless times when I was younger. Every summer, every fall break, sometimes just random weekends when he wanted to escape the city. The house sat on 3 acres of wooded property with 200 feet of lake frontage. Dad had bought it for $180,000 30 years ago. Now it was worth over $1 million, maybe more. I pulled up to find Veronica's Range Rover in the driveway. Of course. I let myself in with my key. Veronica was in the master bedroom, throwing clothes into garbage bags. "Get out," she said without looking at me. "This is my house. You get out." She whirled around. Her hair was a mess, mascara smudged. She looked nothing like the polished woman from Instagram. "Your father and I spent 3 years here together. 3 years. And you think you can just take it?" "I'm not taking anything. Dad gave it to me. He was confused. Sick. You took advantage." The deed transfer happened 3 years ago, long before he was confused. Try again. Veronica's eyes filled with tears. For a moment, I almost felt bad. Then I remembered the footage of her in bed with Dustin, the stolen medication, the oxygen mask. "I loved him," she whispered. "No, you didn't. You don't know anything about our relationship. You were just his daughter. I was his wife. You were his mistake, one he was smart enough to correct before he died." She lunged at me. Actually lunged like she was going to hit me. I stepped back and her momentum carried her into the dresser. She screamed in frustration. "I'm calling the police," I said calmly. "Go ahead. Tell them you're harassing me while I'm trying to mourn my husband. Tell them you're trespassing. I have the deed. You have Friday to remove your belongings or I'll have them removed for you." I walked out before she could respond. My phone was already ringing when I got back to my car. "Mr. Patterson, your stepmother's attorney just called. They want to negotiate." "Already?" "She's desperate. They're claiming emotional distress. They want the lake house as compensation for the suffering she endured while caring for your father. She didn't care for him. I did." "I know. And we have hospital sign-in sheets to prove it. Every visitor was logged. Your name appears 284 times over 7 months. Hers appears 11 times. What do they want exactly?" "The lake house and $200,000 from the estate. In exchange, she'll drop any contest to the will." "No, I thought you'd say that. I'll inform them." "Mr. Patterson, how much money did Dad actually leave?" A pause. "Are you asking about liquid assets or total net worth?" "Both. Liquid assets currently sit at approximately $840,000 after estate taxes. Total net worth, including properties and investments, is roughly $3.2 million. I nearly dropped the phone. "What?" "Your father was a very successful commercial real estate developer. He lived modestly, but he invested wisely. The bulk of his estate goes to you. Veronica gets the minimum required by law as a spouse, about 15% of liquid assets. That's over $100,000. Yes, which is why her demands are ridiculous. She's legally entitled to roughly $126,000. Instead, she's demanding the house plus additional funds. Why? Greed, fear, pride. Take your pick. She probably assumed your father was worth more, or she's panicking because her bills are piling up." "What bills?" "According to your father's notes, Veronica has approximately $80,000 in credit card debt. Most of it incurred in the last year of your father's life. Shopping, travel, who knows what else. Your father stopped paying her cards 6 months ago. She doesn't know that yet." I smiled. Dad had thought of everything. "Let her sweat," I said. "No negotiation." "Understood." I spent the rest of the day at the lake house, going through everything. In the back of a closet, I found a box of my childhood art projects. Macaroni picture frames, finger paintings, a ceramic bowl I'd made in 3rd grade with "World's Best Dad" painted on the side. He'd kept everything. In the garage, I found his old tackle box, the one we'd used on fishing trips. Inside was a photo of the 2 of us from 10 years ago, both of us holding up a tiny base and grinning like idiots. On the back, Dad had written, "Best day ever." I sat on the dock and cried again. That evening, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Is this Natalie?" A woman's voice. "Who's asking?" "My name is Detective Angela Reeves. I believe you're meeting with me next Tuesday?" "That's right. I'm calling because we've had some developments. Can you come in tomorrow instead? Morning, if possible." "What kind of developments?" "The kind that would be better discussed in person." "Let's say 10 a.m. I agreed and hung up feeling unsettled. The next morning, I arrived at the police station at 9:45. Detective Reeves was younger than I expected, maybe 35, with short dark hair and sharp eyes. "Thank you for coming in early," she said, leading me to a small interview room. "I wanted to talk to you before things get complicated." "Complicated how?" She pulled out a folder. "Your father filed a report about your stepmother's activities 2 months before his death. We've been investigating since then. And we found quite a bit. Your stepmother has been running what we'd call a long-term fraud scheme. She's done this before." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean before?" Detective Reeves pulled out a series of photos. Different men, all older, all wealthy looking. Veronica Lark, though that's not her real name, has married 4 times in the last 15 years. Each husband was significantly older and significantly wealthy. Each marriage lasted between 18 months and 4 years. Each ended with the husband's death. She killed them. We don't have proof of that yet, but the pattern is suspicious. 3 died of natural causes, 1 in a car accident. All left her substantial inheritances. So why isn't she in jail? Because she's smart. She married men who were already sick or at high risk. She played the devoted wife. She made sure everything looked natural. Your father was the first one to catch on and document everything. I felt cold. How did you find out about the others? Your father's private investigator. He hired someone to dig into Veronica's background about a year into their marriage. Found the previous husbands, the fake names, the pattern. That's when your father started his own documentation. Fake names. Detective Reeves pushed another document toward me. Her real name is Violet Larson. She's from a small town in Nebraska. Changed her name legally at 22 and has been using variations ever since. Veronica Lark, Victoria Larkin, Valerie Larson. Always keeps the same initials. Why? Monogrammed items. Easier to recycle jewelry, luggage, clothing. Classic con artist move. I stared at the photos. 4 dead men. 4 grieving families, who probably had no idea they'd been scammed. What happens now? Now we build a case. But I need your help. The footage your father collected. I need copies of everything. The financial records, text messages, all of it. Mr. Patterson has copies. Good. I'll get a warrant. But there's something else. She pulled out another photo. This one showed Dustin, Veronica's boyfriend. Do you know this man? I've seen him in the security footage. His name is Dustin. Dustin Carver. He's Veronica's accomplice. Has been for at least 10 years. Sometimes he poses as her brother, sometimes a friend, sometimes they pretend to not know each other at all. But he's always there, in the background, helping her set up the next mark. You mean my dad was a mark? I'm sorry, yes. Your father was targeted. Veronica researched him for months before they met. She knew about his first wife's death. She knew he was lonely and successful. She engineered their meeting at that charity gala. I remembered the story. Dad had told it like it was fate. They'd both reached for the same glass of champagne, laughed about it, started talking. She'd seemed so charming, so interested in his work. It had all been a setup. How many has she done this to? That we know of? 4 before your father? How many we don't know about? Could be more. And you're just now investigating? Detective Reeves looked uncomfortable. The previous deaths occurred in different jurisdictions, different states. No one connected them until your father's investigator did. We're coordinating with police in Nebraska, Arizona, and Florida now. Does Veronica know you're investigating? Not yet. We've been careful. But she's smart. She might suspect, which is why I need you to be very careful. Careful how? Don't be alone with her. Don't eat or drink anything she gives you. Don't get in a car with her. And if she tries to make contact, record everything. I felt sick. You think she'd hurt me? I think she's killed at least 4 people for money. You're standing between her and a substantial inheritance. So yes, I think she might hurt you. I drove home in a daze. The woman I'd tried to accept as my stepmother, was a serial killer. Or at least a serial black widow. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Meet me at the house. 4 p.m. It was from Veronica. I was sure of it. I called Detective Reeves. Don't go, she said immediately. It's too risky. What if she's ready to confess? What if she'll say something incriminating? Not worth the risk. What if I wear a wire? You can have officers nearby. A long pause. That's actually not a bad idea, but it would need to be official. You'd be working with us. I'm in. 3 hours later, I was back at the police station, getting fitted with a tiny microphone. Detective Reeves went over the rules. Don't be confrontational. Let her talk. If she makes any threats, any admission of wrongdoing, we need it clear on the recording. What if she gets violent? We'll have 2 officers in an unmarked car in the driveway, another 2 in the woods behind the house. If anything happens, they'll be there in 30 seconds. Comforting. This is your chance to back out. I thought about Dad, about his letter, about the 4 other men who'd died. I'm not backing out. I arrived at the lake house at 3:55. Veronica's Range Rover was already there. I found her sitting on the dock, looking out at the water. For a moment, she almost looked peaceful. I'm glad you came, she said without turning around. What do you want, Veronica? To apologize. That threw me. Apologize for what? For everything. For how I treated you. For how I treated your father. For all of it. I sat down next to her, keeping some distance between us. I'm listening. She was quiet for a long moment. I know you don't believe this, but I did care about him, in my own way. You had a funny way of showing it. I know. I'm not good at love. I never learned how. My mother taught me that men are assets, resources to be managed. Emotions just complicate things. So you married my father for money? Yes, at first, but then, she trailed off. He was kind. He was patient. He tried to understand me even when I didn't deserve it. So why did you steal from him? Why did you cheat on him? Because I'm broken. Her voice cracked. Because I don't know how to be anything else. I wanted to feel sympathy. I really did. But all I could think about was the 4 other men. The oxygen mask. The stolen medication. What about the others? I asked. She turned to look at me. What others? The other husbands. Before my dad. Her expression didn't change, but her body went rigid. I don't know what you're talking about. Violet. She flinched like I'd slapped her. That's not my name anymore. But it was. Violet Larson from Nebraska. 4 husbands before my dad. 4 convenient deaths. She stood up fast. Who told you that? Does it matter? You've been digging into my past. That's an invasion of privacy. You invaded my father's life, his death, his legacy. You don't get to talk about privacy. Veronica's whole demeanor changed. The soft, apologetic woman vanished. In her place was someone cold and calculating. You have no idea what you're dealing with. I think I do. You're a con artist. A thief. Possibly a murderer. Careful, little girl. Accusations like that can get you in trouble. Not if they're true. She stepped closer. Close enough that I could smell her perfume. The same expensive brand she'd worn to Dad's funeral. Here's what's going to happen, she said quietly. You're going to give me what I want. The lake house. Half of the liquid assets. And you're going to do it quietly. Or what? Or I'll make sure you regret it. I know people. People who can make you disappear. People who can make it look like an accident. My heart was pounding, but I kept my voice steady. Are you threatening me? I'm promising you. Give me what's mine, or you'll end up just like your father. Sick, suffering, begging for it to end. Did you kill my father? I helped him die. There's a difference. How? Little things. Extra morphine in his IV, moving his oxygen mask while he slept. Nothing dramatic. Just encouraging nature to take its course. I felt bile rise in my throat. Why are you telling me this? Because you need to understand what I'm capable of. Your father didn't take me seriously. He thought he was so smart with his cameras and his lawyers. But he's dead, and I'm still here. The police know everything. She laughed. The police have nothing. Suspicions aren't evidence. And I'm very good at covering my tracks. Not good enough. You're on camera. In Dad's safe. With Dustin. Stealing his valuables. Her smile faltered. Those cameras were in the office, not the bedroom, not the halls. Dad had the whole house wired. Motion activated. Everything's time-stamped. Everything's backed up. The color drained from her face. Including the footage of you removing his oxygen mask in hospice? That's impossible. There are no cameras in hospice rooms. Dad had a nanny cam. In his glasses case. On the nightstand. You walked right past it. I was bluffing. I had no idea if that was true. But her face told me I'd hit close to home. You're lying. Am I? Want to see the footage? She lunged at me. Grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise. Give me those files. Right now. They're with the police. Have been for days. She shoved me. Hard. I stumbled backward, arms windmilling, and then I was falling. The dock disappeared beneath me. The water was cold, shockingly cold for September. I went under, the weight of my clothes dragging me down. When I surfaced, gasping, Veronica was standing at the edge of the dock, looking down at me, not helping, just watching. Veronica! I sputtered. Help me up! She knelt down. For a moment, I thought she was going to pull me out. Instead, she grabbed my head and pushed me back under. I thrashed, water filling my mouth and nose. Her hand was strong, holding me down. My lungs burned. This was it. This was how I died. Just like Dad. At Veronica's hands. Then suddenly the pressure released. I broke the surface, coughing and gasping, shouting, men's voices, running footsteps. Detective Reeves was pulling Veronica away from the dock in handcuffs. 2 uniformed officers were reaching down to help me out of the water. Got it all on tape, one of them said. Every word, every threat, the confession, the attempted murder. I lay on the dock, shivering and coughing up lake water. Above me, Veronica was screaming. She fell. It was an accident. I was trying to help her. Save it, Detective Reeves said. We have video from her wire. We have your confession. We have you pushing her in and holding her under. You're done. They led Veronica away, still screaming, claiming innocence, claiming I'd attacked her. Detective Reeves knelt beside me. You okay? Been better. That was incredibly brave and incredibly stupid, but it worked. It almost got you killed. I sat up, still coughing. She confessed. To killing Dad. To everything. I know. We got it. All of it. Paramedics arrived to check me over. Mild hypothermia. Water in my lungs. They wanted to take me to the hospital. I'm fine, I insisted. You were just nearly drowned. You're going to the hospital. At the ER, they admitted me overnight for observation. Detective Reeves stayed long enough to take my statement, then left to process Veronica. We're charging her with attempted murder for what just happened. We're also looking at charges related to your father's death, and we've contacted the other jurisdictions about the previous husbands. What about Dustin? We picked him up an hour ago. He's singing like a canary, trying to make a deal. What kind of deal? Testify against Veronica in exchange for a reduced sentence. He's admitting to his role in the thefts, but claims he didn't know about the murders. Do you believe him? Doesn't matter what I believe. Matters what we can prove. But between his testimony, your father's evidence, and Veronica's confession today, we've got her cold. After Detective Reeves left, I was alone with my thoughts. The reality of what had just happened started sinking in. Veronica had tried to kill me. Actually, genuinely tried to drown me. And she'd killed my father. Maybe not with her bare hands, but close enough. She'd suffocated him, overdosed him on morphine, robbed him of whatever time he might have had left. My phone buzzed. Mr. Patterson. I heard what happened. Are you all right? Physically, yes. Mentally, I'm processing. Detective Reeves filled me in. Your stepmother will be in custody for a while. The judge denied bail given the flight risk and the attempted murder charge. Good. There's another matter we need to discuss. Your brother Trent has filed paperwork to contest the will. Of course he has. He's claiming undue influence. Says you manipulated your father while he was ill and vulnerable. Let him try. We have evidence that Dad was competent. And Trent didn't even visit during the last 3 months. I'm aware. The hospital records are very clear. But I wanted you to know it's coming. Thanks for the heads up. After he hung up, I stared at the ceiling. My whole family, or what passed for family, was falling apart. Veronica in jail. Trent suing me. Dad dead. I was 23 and completely alone. Except I wasn't really. Mr. Patterson was on my side. Detective Reeves was on my side. And Dad had made sure I'd be taken care of. I just wished he was here. The next morning, I was released from the hospital. Detective Reeves picked me up. We need you to come to the station. Dustin wants to talk to you. Why? Says he has information about your father. Things Veronica did that we might not know about. Dustin looked smaller in the interrogation room than he had on the security footage. Younger. Scared. I didn't know she was going to kill him, he said immediately. I swear. I thought it was just a regular con. Get married, get divorced, get paid. But that's not what happened. No, she started changing, getting more aggressive. She said your dad was too smart, that he was onto us, that we needed to act faster. So you helped her steal from him? Yes, I'm not proud of it, but yes. The coins, the watches, the cash. She had me pawn most of it out of state. What else? She wanted me to tamper with his medication, switch his pills. I refused. That's when she brought in her mother. I sat forward. Diane was involved? She's been involved in all of them. She's the one who picks the targets, does the research. Diane found your father at that charity gala. She's the one who pointed him out to Veronica. And the previous husbands? Same pattern. Diane picks them. Veronica marries them. They steal what they can. And if the guy gets suspicious or tries to change his will, Diane handles it. Handles it how? I don't know the details. I was never involved in that part. But all 4 of the previous husbands died right when they were about to divorce Veronica or cut her out of their wills. That's not a coincidence. No, it's not. Detective Reeves jumped in. Are you saying Diane Lark killed those men? I'm saying she was there, every time. And then the men ended up dead. Why are you telling us this now? Because Veronica tried to kill that girl yesterday. I signed up for theft, fraud, not murder. I want out. Bit late for that, which is why I'm cooperating. I'll testify. I'll tell you everything I know. Just, please. I don't want to go to prison for life. After the interview, Detective Reeves walked me out. We're bringing Diane in for questioning. Based on what Dustin said, she might be the real mastermind. What happens to Veronica? She's not talking. Lawyered up immediately. But with Dustin's testimony, the video evidence, and her confession to you, we have enough for attempted murder charges. Maybe more. And my father's death? That's trickier. The medical examiner ruled it natural causes at the time. We'd need to exhume the body, run new toxicology tests. It's a process. The thought of disturbing Dad's grave made me feel sick. But if it meant justice, do it, I said. Whatever it takes. I'll start the paperwork. I went home, exhausted. My apartment felt foreign, like I'd been gone for years instead of days. There was a package waiting at my door, no return address, just my name written in elegant script. I almost didn't open it. After everything with Veronica, I was paranoid about packages. But curiosity won out. Inside was a photo. Me and Dad from my high school graduation, both of us smiling, his arm around my shoulders. On the back, in his handwriting, so proud. Under the photo was a letter. Natalie, if you're reading this, you've survived Veronica. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I tried to spare you, but I knew she'd come after you eventually. I want you to know something important. You are stronger than you think, braver than you know. I've watched you grow from a little girl who was afraid of the dark into a woman who faces down monsters. Veronica is a monster. I know that now. I was foolish to marry her, but I'd never take it back because knowing her taught me something valuable. It taught me to appreciate what I had in you. By now, you've probably discovered the extent of her crimes, the other husbands, the systematic theft, maybe even the attempts on my life. Yes, I knew. I knew she was poisoning me. I knew she was tampering with my oxygen. I could have stopped her, could have called the police, but I was dying anyway. And I wanted to give you the tools to stop her permanently. Every day she thought she was getting away with it. I was documenting it. Every time she removed my oxygen mask, there was a camera recording. Every medication she switched, I had documented. I let her think she was winning so you could win in the end. I'm sorry for putting that burden on you, but I knew you could handle it. You're my daughter. You have my stubbornness and your mother's courage. Use the evidence wisely. Protect yourself. And remember, you owe her nothing. Not sympathy, not mercy. Nothing. She chose this path. Let her walk it to the end. I love you always. Dad P.S. Check the lake house boathouse, behind the life jackets. I left you one more gift. I sat on my apartment floor holding the letter and crying. Dad had known. He'd known she was killing him and he'd let it happen to protect me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the boathouse, about what Dad might have left there. At 6 a.m., I gave up and drove back to the lake house. The property was still marked as a crime scene from yesterday's incident, but the tape was just around the dock. The boathouse was accessible. I pushed open the door. It smelled like old wood and gasoline. Life jackets hung on hooks along one wall. I pulled them aside. Behind them was a small safe built into the wall. The combination lock had 4 numbers. I tried Dad's birthday. Nothing. My birthday. Nothing. My mother's birthday. Click. Inside were 3 things. A flash drive labeled insurance, a passport in my name with my photo but dated from 2 years ago, and $50,000 in cash. I plugged the flash drive into my phone using an adapter. 1 file. A video. Dad sitting in his office looking tired but alert. If you're watching this, I'm gone and you found the boathouse. First, I'm sorry for the cloak and dagger, but I needed to make sure this information stayed hidden until you needed it. The flash drive contains copies of everything. All the security footage, all the financial records, screenshots of text messages. I've been storing it here as a backup in case anything happens to the copies with Mr. Patterson. The passport is for emergencies. If Veronica or her associates come after you, use it. The money is enough to disappear for a while. I've also set up an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. The information is in a safety deposit box at First National Bank. Ask for box 237. The key is taped under the combination lock you just opened. I don't think you'll need any of this. I think the legal system will work, but I've learned not to take chances with people like Veronica. One more thing. The lake house has additional cameras I never told anyone about. They're built into the eaves, the dock posts, even the trees. They're solar-powered and they upload directly to a cloud server. The login information is on this drive. If Veronica or her people come back here, you'll know. The video ended. I sat in the boathouse, stunned. Dad had built me an escape hatch, a way out if things went completely wrong. I checked under the combination lock. Sure enough, a small key was taped there. That afternoon, I went to the bank. The manager led me to the safety deposit boxes. I used the key and slid out box 237. Inside were 3 passports. Mine, plus 2 blanks with my photo already inserted. Different names. Also inside, account information for 3 offshore accounts totaling $1.5 million. A list of international contacts. People who can help if you need to disappear, Dad had written, and a burner phone with 3 numbers programmed in. Dad had literally built me a new identity. Multiple identities. Just in case. I took photos of everything and put it all back. I wasn't running. Not yet. But it was good to know I could if I needed to. When I got home, there was a message from Detective Reeves. We've arrested Diane Lark. She's being charged as an accessory in your father's death and the deaths of 2 of the previous husbands. We're still building cases for the others. Also, the exhumation has been approved. We'll know more in 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, the toxicology results came back. Dad had died with 3 times the normal dose of morphine in his system. Also present, Oleander extract, a poison that mimics the symptoms of heart failure. Veronica had definitely killed him, deliberately and systematically. The DA filed murder charges, premeditated, first degree. Diane was charged as an accomplice. Dustin took a plea deal, 15 years in exchange for testimony. The trial was set for 6 months out. In the meantime, I tried to rebuild my life. I enrolled in college, started working toward a degree in business management. Dad had always wanted me to run his company someday. I rented out the lake house like I'd planned. The income more than covered my living expenses. I went to therapy, twice a week, processing everything that had happened, and I waited. Trent's lawsuit got thrown out within 2 months. The judge reviewed all the evidence and ruled that Dad had been completely competent. Trent was ordered to pay my legal fees. He sent me one final text. I hope you're happy. You destroyed our family. I didn't respond. We hadn't been a family in a long time. Maybe never. The trial started on a Monday in March. The courthouse was packed. The media had gotten wind of the story. Beautiful young woman accused of killing wealthy husband. It was tabloid gold. I sat in the front row every day, making eye contact with Veronica when she looked my way, reminding her that I'd survived. The prosecution presented Dad's evidence. Video after video. Financial records showing systematic theft. Expert testimony about the oleander poisoning, the morphine overdose, the oxygen mask incidents. Dustin testified for 3 days, describing Veronica and Diane's operation in excruciating detail, how they'd done this at least 4 times before, how Diane chose the targets, and Veronica played the role. The defense tried to discredit him. You're a criminal testifying to save yourself. Yes, Dustin said, but I'm also telling the truth. They called character witnesses, people who'd known Veronica as the devoted wife, who'd seen her Instagram posts, who believed in the performance. But then the prosecution called me. I walked to the stand on shaking legs, placed my hand on the Bible, swore to tell the truth. The prosecutor was gentle. Tell us about your relationship with your father. I talked about his diagnosis, about being 19 and scared, about sleeping on his couch during chemo, about learning to manage his medications. And where was Veronica during this time? Anywhere but the hospital. Can you elaborate? I have the hospital sign-in sheets. I was there 284 times over 7 months. Veronica was there 11 times. Most of those visits lasted less than an hour. What about at home? She was busy, shopping, meeting friends, going to spin class. She posted about it constantly on Instagram while Dad was at home vomiting from treatment. Did your father talk to you about Veronica? Yes. 3 days after his diagnosis, he told me he'd caught her texting her boyfriend about how much longer she had to stay married to the old man. Objection! Veronica's lawyer jumped up. Hearsay. Sustained. The prosecutor tried again. Did your father show you evidence of this? Yes. Screenshots of the messages. And what did he do with this information? He started documenting everything. He said he wanted to protect me from her. The cross-examination was brutal. You didn't like your stepmother, did you? No. You wanted your father all to yourself? I wanted my father to not be married to someone who was stealing from him. But you benefited from his death, didn't you? You inherited millions. I would trade every penny to have him back. But you can't. So instead you're here trying to put your stepmother in prison. I'm here because she murdered my father. I'm here because she tried to murder me. I'm here because she's killed at least 4 other men. I'm here for justice. Or revenge. If this was revenge, she'd already be dead. The courtroom went silent. The judge called for a recess. Later, the defense tried to paint Veronica as a victim, a woman who'd been manipulated by Diane, who'd only wanted love and found herself caught up in something beyond her control. But the jury saw through it. After 3 weeks of testimony, they deliberated for 5 hours, guilty on all counts. Murder in the first degree, attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, grand theft, fraud. Diane was convicted as an accessory. Sentencing was set for 2 months later. When the verdict was read, Veronica showed no emotion, just stared straight ahead, like she was already somewhere else. I felt something release in my chest, something I'd been holding on to since Dad's diagnosis. It wasn't closure, not exactly, but it was something. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. I gave a brief statement. My father was a good man. He deserved better than what happened to him. I hope this verdict sends a message that people like Veronica Lark, people who prey on the vulnerable and the lonely, will be held accountable. Detective Reeves found me in the crowd. You did good in there. I just told the truth. Sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. She handed me a card. We've identified 2 more potential victims, previous husbands who died under suspicious circumstances. We'll be opening investigations in those cases. We might need you to testify again. Whatever you need. Sentencing day was quieter. No media circus, just families and lawyers. Veronica was sentenced to life without parole for Dad's murder. An additional 20 years for attempting to kill me. Sentences to run consecutively. Diane got 30 years. Dustin would serve his 15 and likely get out in 10 with good behavior. Do you have anything to say? The judge asked Veronica. She stood, straightened her orange prison jumpsuit, looked directly at me. I'm sorry, she said. Not for what I did, but for getting caught. The gallery erupted. The judge banged his gavel. Veronica smiled slightly and sat back down. That was it. No remorse. No explanation. Just pure sociopathy on display. They led her away. I never saw her again. 6 months after the trial, I graduated with honors. I'd compressed my degree into 2 years through summer classes and overloading every semester. Mr. Patterson came to the ceremony. So did Detective Reeves. They'd both become something like family. Your father would be so proud, Mr. Patterson said. I hope so. I started working at Dad's company, learning the business from the ground up. His partners had kept it running during the trial, but now they wanted me involved. Your father always talked about you taking over someday, one of them said. Said you had his head for numbers and your mother's people skills. I moved into a new apartment, bigger than the old one, with a view of the park where Dad and I used to walk. I kept his ashes on the mantle. Couldn't bring myself to scatter them yet. 1 year after Veronica's conviction, I finally went back to the lake house. I hadn't rented it out in months. Couldn't bear the thought of strangers in Dad's space. I sat on the dock at sunset, the same dock where Veronica had tried to drown me. It should have felt haunted. Instead, it felt peaceful. My phone rang. Unknown number. I'd gotten wary of unknown numbers. Hello? Is this Natalie? A man's voice. Unfamiliar. Who's asking? My name is Thomas Rivera. I was married to Veronica. Before she was Veronica. When she was Victoria. I sat up straight. You're one of the previous husbands? I'm the one who got away. She tried to poison me. I figured it out. Filed for divorce. Disappeared before she could finish the job. How did you find me? Detective Reeves. She's been contacting victims' families. I told her I wanted to talk to you. Why? Because I spent 10 years looking over my shoulder. 10 years afraid she'd find me. And you're the one who finally stopped her. I wanted to say thank you. We talked for an hour. Thomas told me his story. How Veronica had seemed perfect at first. How things had gradually gotten strange. How he'd gotten sick with mysterious symptoms. How his dog had died after eating something Veronica had prepared. I hired a PI, he said. Found out about the husband before me. How he died suddenly. How Veronica had inherited everything. That's when I knew. Why didn't you go to the police? I tried. They said I had no proof, just suspicions. So I faked my own death and started over with a new identity. That's extreme. So is Veronica. I spent 10 years as a ghost, but it kept me alive. After we hung up, I realized something. Dad had done the same thing. Become a ghost in his own way. Documenting everything. Building escape plans. Protecting me from the shadows. Maybe that's what you had to do when you loved someone and wanted to keep them safe. Become invisible yourself so they could stay in the light. I scattered his ashes that night. In the lake. At sunset, where he'd taught me to swim and fish and be brave. I love you, Dad, I whispered. Thank you for everything. The ashes drifted on the water, catching the last rays of light, and then he was gone. 2 years after the trial, I got a call from Detective Reeves. They found 3 more victims. Veronica and Diane had been operating for at least 20 years, maybe longer. We're up to 7 confirmed deaths now. Jesus. I wanted you to know. You stopped a serial killer. Multiple serial killers, that's not nothing. It doesn't feel like enough. It never does. But it's something. I hung up and stared out my office window. I was 25 now. Running Dad's company, making decisions that affected hundreds of employees. Sometimes I still felt like that 19-year-old girl sleeping on his couch, scared and overwhelmed. But mostly I felt like his daughter, strong, stubborn, strategic. Trent reached out on what would have been Dad's 56th birthday. I'm sorry for everything. I was angry and I took it out on you. You didn't deserve that. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. Thank you. I'm sorry too. We both lost him. Can we talk? Maybe coffee? We met at a diner halfway between our apartments. It was awkward at first. We'd been on opposite sides of a legal battle. He'd accused me of terrible things, but he was also my half-brother, the only family I had left. I didn't know, he said finally, about what my mom did, about any of it. She told me you'd manipulated Dad. I believed her. She was convincing. She was a monster, and I'm sorry I didn't see it. You were her son. You wanted to believe in her. That doesn't excuse it. We talked for 3 hours, about Dad, about childhoods, in different houses, about who we'd become. When we left, we hugged. It wasn't forgiveness, not quite, but it was a start. 3 years after Dad's death, I sold the lake house. I couldn't keep it anymore. Every time I visited, I saw Veronica pushing me off the dock. I heard her confession. I felt the water closing over my head. A family from Seattle bought it. They had 3 kids under 10. The dad told me they'd been looking for a lake house for years. We're going to make so many memories here, he said. I'm glad. It's a good place for memories. I used the money to set up a foundation, the Gregory Miller Foundation for Cancer Support. We helped families navigate treatment costs, provided housing near hospitals, offered respite care for caregivers, all the things I'd wished we'd had. I hired a small staff, rented an office, started making a difference. On the 4th anniversary of Dad's death, I visited his grave. I'd finally gotten him a proper headstone. Gregory Thomas Miller, loving father, 1972, 2024. All the stars. It was our thing. When I was little and couldn't sleep, he'd tell me he loved me more than all the stars in the sky. I sat on the grass and told him about the foundation, about reconciling with Trent, about finally feeling like I was moving forward instead of just surviving. I miss you, I said, every day, but I'm okay. You made sure I'd be okay. The wind rustled through the trees. For just a moment, it felt like an answer. 5 years later, I met someone. His name was Cameron. He worked in nonprofit management. We met at a fundraising gala, the same kind of event where Dad had met Veronica. But Cameron was different. He was kind, patient. He didn't care about my money. When I told him about Dad, about Veronica, about everything, he just listened. That's a lot to carry, he said. I manage. You shouldn't have to manage alone. We dated for 2 years before he proposed. By then, I'd introduced him to Trent, to Mr. Patterson, to Detective Reeves, everyone who mattered. Mr. Patterson walked me down the aisle. He'd become as close to a father figure as I'd ever have again. Your dad would be so happy, he said as we waited to process in. You think? I know. He wanted you to have a full life. This is that. The reception was small. 50 people who actually mattered. No pretense, no performance. Trent gave a toast. To my sister, who taught me what strength looks like, what forgiveness looks like, what family really means. That night, lying in bed next to my new husband, I thought about Dad, about his letter, about all his planning. He'd given me everything I needed to survive, to thrive, to build a life worth living. Thank you, I whispered into the darkness. And somewhere, in whatever came after, I like to think he heard me. 6 years after Dad's death, Detective Reeves called one last time. Diane died. Heart attack in prison. Good riddance. Veronica tried to appeal. Again. It was denied. Again. How many times is that now? 4. She's running out of legal options. What about the other victims' families? We've connected with most of them. Some are pursuing wrongful death suits. Some just wanted closure. Everyone's grateful you stopped her when you did. After she hung up, I sat with that knowledge. 7 confirmed victims. 4 families I'd helped give closure. 4 families who could finally stop wondering what had happened to their fathers, husbands, brothers. It wasn't enough to bring anyone back, but it was something. I went to my office. I ran a major charitable foundation now. and looked at the photo on my desk. Me and Dad from my college graduation, the one he never got to see. We did it, I told the photo. We got her. We got them both. The photo didn't answer, but I could imagine what he'd say. I'm proud of you. I always was. That night, I had dinner with Cameron and Trent. We did this every month now. Sometimes with Trent's girlfriend, sometimes with Mr. Patterson. We'd become something like family, the kind you choose, the kind that shows up. I got an email today, Trent said over dessert, from a woman whose father died 20 years ago. She thinks Diane might have been involved. She's asking if we want to help investigate. I looked at Cameron. He squeezed my hand. What did you tell her? I asked. That I'd ask you. I thought about it. About Dad's evidence. About everything I'd learned. About the foundation I'd built. And the life I was living. Tell her yes, I said. Tell her we'll help however we can. Because that's what Dad had taught me. That when you have the power to help, to protect, to fight for what's right, you do it. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. 7 years later, I gave birth to a daughter. We named her Grace. Grace Alexandra Miller Hayes. She had Cameron's eyes and my stubborn chin. And when I held her for the first time, I thought about Dad. About how he'd held me, protected me, prepared me. Your grandfather would have loved you, I whispered. That night, as Grace slept in her bassinet, I pulled out Dad's old letter, the one from the lawyer's office. I'd read it 100 times, but tonight I needed it again. Never confuse kindness with weakness. I looked at my daughter, at my husband sleeping in the chair next to us, at the life I'd built from the ashes of Dad's death. I hadn't confused kindness with weakness. I'd learned to be both, kind to those who deserved it, strong enough to destroy those who didn't. Veronica had taught me that monsters exist. Dad had taught me how to fight them. And now I'd teach Grace, not to be afraid, not to be cynical, but to be aware, to be smart, to document everything and trust her instincts. 8 years after Dad's death, we helped put away 2 more people connected to Diane's network, associates who'd helped target victims, who'd covered up evidence. The families sent flowers, thank you cards, photos of their lost loved ones. I kept every single one in a special room at the foundation, a reminder of why we did this work. 9 years later, Trent got married. I stood as his best person. We'd come a long way from the lawyer's office where we'd glared at each other across a conference table. Think Dad would approve? He asked before the ceremony. He'd be thrilled, even though I was such an ass to you. Especially because you grew past it. At the reception, we toasted Dad, to his memory, to the lessons he'd taught us, to the family we'd built in his absence. 10 years after Dad's death, I visited the cemetery on the anniversary. I brought Grace with me. She was 3 now, old enough to understand some things, young enough that others could wait. That's your grandfather, I told her, pointing at the headstone. Where is he? He's gone, but he loved you very much. How do you know if he never met me? Because he loved me, and you're part of me. She thought about that. Then picked a dandelion and put it on the grave. For Grandpa, she said solemnly. That night, Cameron found me looking through old photos. Dad and me through the years, beach vacations, birthday parties, his illness. You okay? He asked. Yeah, just remembering. He seems like he was a good man, the best. Grace is lucky to have his strength in her genes. We're all lucky. He made sure of that. 11 years later, on what would have been Dad's 66th birthday, the foundation reached a milestone. We'd helped our 10,000th family. I gave a speech at the celebration, talked about Dad, about what he'd taught me, about turning tragedy into purpose. My father spent his last months protecting me, I said. Now I spend my days protecting others. That's his legacy. Not the money he left, not the evidence he collected, but the example he set. Fight for what's right. Document the truth. Protect the people you love. The room stood and applauded. Mr. Patterson, now in his 70s, wiped away tears. Detective Reeves, recently retired, gave me a thumbs up. After the event, a woman approached me, late 30s, nervous. I need to tell you something, she said. About Veronica. My stomach tightened. What about her? She's sick. Cancer. They say she has 6 months. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No sadness. Just empty acknowledgement. Okay. She wants to see you. Before she dies. She wrote you a letter. The woman handed me an envelope. Veronica's handwriting. I knew it from the stolen documents all those years ago. I almost threw it away. But curiosity won. Natalie, I'm dying. Ironic, given what I did to your father. What I did to the others. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know something. Your father was different. The others were just marks. Walking wallets. But Gregory, he made me question things. Made me wonder what life might have been like if I'd been different. If I'd been capable of being who he thought I was. I'm not saying I loved him. I'm not sure I'm capable of that. But he was kind to me when he didn't have to be. Even knowing what I was. That meant something. You're strong. Like him. I tried to break you. And couldn't. I tried to kill you and failed. You won. Completely. I hope that brings you peace. I won't ask you to visit. I know better. But I wanted you to know. In the end, you were right. I am a monster. But even monsters can recognize beauty when they see it. Your father was beautiful. In his heart, his kindness, his love for you. I'm sorry I took that from you. I read the letter 3 times, then burned it in the fireplace. Cameron came in as I watched it turn to ash. Everything okay? Veronica's dying. Cancer. How do you feel about that? Like it's justice, maybe. Or maybe just coincidence. But mostly I feel relieved. She can't hurt anyone anymore. Are you going to visit her? No, she doesn't get my time, not even in death. Good. That night, I dreamed about Dad. We were at the lake house. Before Veronica, before the diagnosis. Just us and the water and the setting sun. Did I do the right thing? I asked him. All of it? You did what you had to do, he said. You survived. You protected others. You built something good from something terrible. That's all anyone can do. I miss you. I know, but I'm always here. He tapped my chest, over my heart. Right here. All the stars. Remember? I woke up with tears on my face and peace in my heart. 12 years after Dad's death, I testified one final time. The last case connected to Diane's network, an accomplice who'd helped cover up 2 of the earlier deaths. The prosecutor asked me to explain how the scheme worked, how they chose victims, how they executed their plans. I laid it all out, calmly, clearly, without emotion. The defense tried to rattle me. Isn't it true you've profited from all this attention? Your foundation has raised millions on the back of your father's death. The foundation has raised millions to help families affected by cancer. If my father's death gave that purpose meaning, then yes, we've made something good from something terrible. That's not profit. That's survival. The jury convicted in 40 minutes. Detective Reeves, who'd attended the trial, found me outside. That's all of them. Everyone connected to the network. We got them all. It's really over? It's really over. We stood in silence, watching people stream out of the courthouse. Thank you, I said finally, for believing me, for fighting for my dad. Thank you for being brave enough to wear that wire, for testifying, for never backing down. I learned from the best. Your father? My father. Veronica died 3 weeks later. I didn't attend the funeral, didn't send flowers, didn't acknowledge it at all. Trent called to tell me. I thought you'd want to know. Okay, that's it? Just okay? What else is there to say? She's dead. She can't hurt anyone. The world is safer. Okay, he understood. A week later, I got a call from the prison. Veronica had left something for me, a small box. Against my better judgment, I went to collect it. Inside was a photo. Veronica and Dad from their wedding day. Both smiling, both looking happy. On the back, Veronica had written, I could have been this person, for him, if I'd tried. Also in the box was Dad's Rolex, the one Veronica had stolen, the one I thought was gone forever. I brought it home and put it in my safe, next to his other things. The photo from graduation, his reading glasses, the letter about loving me more than all the stars. That night, I put on the Rolex. It was too big for my wrist, but I didn't care. Thank you for protecting me, I said to the empty apartment. Thank you for loving me enough to plan for everything. Thank you for being my dad. The watch ticked steadily, reliable, constant, like he'd always been. 13 years after Dad's death, Grace asked me about Veronica. Mom, I saw something on the internet about Grandpa's wife, who tried to kill him. I'd known this day would come, had prepared for it. We sat down together. I showed her the photos, told her the story. Not all of it. She was only 6, but enough. Why would someone do that? She asked. Because she was sick, not in her body, in her heart and mind. She didn't know how to love people, only how to use them. Did Grandpa know? Yes, and he protected me from her. He made sure I'd be safe. Like you protect me? Exactly like that. She thought about it. I'm glad Grandpa was smart. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. 14 years later, the foundation celebrated its 15th anniversary. We'd helped over 50,000 families, provided millions in support, changed countless lives. I gave a speech about Dad, about how his death had devastated me but also shaped me, about how I'd taken his final gift, safety, security, evidence, and transformed it into purpose. My father spent his last months preparing me for a battle he knew was coming. He gave me weapons, he gave me armor, but most importantly, he gave me a reason to fight. Not for revenge, not for money, but for justice, for protection, for preventing others from suffering the same losses. The room erupted in applause. Afterward, a young woman approached me, college age, nervous. I'm Melissa, she said. My grandfather was one of Veronica's victims, before your father. You helped my family get justice. I wanted to say thank you. We talked for an hour, about her grandfather, about the trial that had finally given her family answers, about how knowing the truth, as painful as it was, had helped them heal. I'm studying criminal justice, she said. Because of you, because of what you did. I want to help people like my family. That night, I told Cameron about the conversation. You changed her life, he said. Dad changed mine. I'm just paying it forward. He'd be proud. I hope so. 15 years after Dad's death, I stood at his grave on the anniversary. Grace was with me. She was 8 now, old enough to understand most of it. Grandpa would be proud of you, she said seriously. How do you know? Because you're proud of me, and you love me like he loved you. So he'd be proud. Kid logic. Perfect and unassailable. We left flowers, red roses, his favorite, and drove home. That evening, I pulled out all of Dad's letters. The one from the lawyer's office, the one from the boathouse, the notes he'd left scattered throughout his evidence collection. I read them all again, looking for something, closure maybe, or confirmation that I'd done right by his memory. In the last letter, tucked at the bottom of the box, I found a page I'd somehow missed before. P.S. If you're reading this far, it means you've survived. You've won. You've built something good. I knew you would. Remember, you are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what you did with it. I love you, more than all the stars. Always and forever, Dad. I sat there, tears streaming down my face, and whispered back, I love you too, more than all the stars. Always and forever. And in that moment, 15 years later, I finally felt it. Closure, peace, gratitude. He'd saved me, and I'd honored that gift by saving others. That was enough. That was everything. 20 years after Dad's death, the foundation had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. Multiple locations, hundreds of staff, tens of thousands of families helped each year. I'd stepped back from day-to-day operations, passed leadership to someone younger, someone hungry to make a difference. But I still came in every week, still met with families, still told them about Dad. My father knew he was dying, I'd say. But he didn't waste his last months on bitterness or fear. He spent them protecting me, preparing me, loving me. That's what we do here. We help families focus on love when they're facing loss. One family I met had a 15-year-old daughter caring for her sick mother. She reminded me of myself at 19, exhausted, scared, trying to hold everything together. You're doing an amazing job, I told her. It doesn't feel amazing. It feels like I'm drowning. I know, I've been there. But I promise, you're stronger than you think, braver than you know, and you're not alone. We helped them with housing near the hospital, with meal delivery, with counseling, with all the things I'd wished someone had helped me with. 6 months later, the mother recovered. The daughter sent me a letter. Thank you for saving my life, and my mom's. We wouldn't have made it without you. I kept that letter, with all the others. Proof that Dad's legacy lived on. 25 years after Dad's death, I retired fully. Grace was a teenager now. Cameron and I wanted to travel. to finally live for ourselves after decades of living for others. On my last day at the foundation, they threw a party. Hundreds of people, families we'd helped, staff members, donors, friends. Mr. Patterson was there, in his 90s now, in a wheelchair, but still sharp as ever. Your father would be so proud, he said, squeezing my hand. I couldn't have done any of it without you. Nonsense. I just filed the paperwork. You did everything else. Detective Reeves was there too, fully retired now, living in Florida. Remember when you wore that wire? She asked, and almost got yourself killed? How could I forget? I thought you were the bravest person I'd ever met. I still do. Trent gave a speech about how I'd shown him what real strength looked like, what forgiveness looked like, what family meant. My sister lost her father to a monster, he said, and instead of becoming bitter, she became better. She turned tragedy into hope, pain into purpose. That's who she is. That's who she's always been. I couldn't hold back the tears. That night at home, I pulled out Dad's watch. The Rolex Veronica had stolen and returned. I wound it carefully, set the time, slipped it on my wrist. Tomorrow, Cameron and I were leaving for Italy, then France, then wherever we wanted to go. But tonight I sat in Dad's favorite chair, the one I'd moved from his house to mine, and thought about everything. The diagnosis, the cancer, the pain, Veronica's betrayal, the will reading, the evidence, the trial, the conviction, the years of building, of healing, of helping. All of it had started with Dad's love, his foresight, his final gift. Thank you, I whispered, for everything, for knowing what I'd need, for loving me enough to prepare me, for being my dad. The watch ticked on my wrist, steady, reliable, eternal, like his love. 30 years after Dad's death, I was grandmother. Grace had married, had twins. I held them and thought about Dad, about how he'd never met my children, would never meet theirs, but he was still here, in the foundation, in the lives we'd saved, in the way I parented, in everything I did. Tell me about great-grandpa, Grace's husband asked one day. I told him the story, all of it. The cancer, Veronica, the evidence, the trials, the foundation. That's incredible, he said. You're incredible. I'm just his daughter. He's the one who was incredible. He raised you, made you who you are. That's pretty incredible too. Maybe it was. 35 years after Dad's death, I was diagnosed with my own cancer, stage 2 breast cancer, caught early, treatable. Grace moved in with me during treatment. Cameron was there every day. The foundation staff rallied, just like I'd done for Dad, just like thousands of families we'd helped had done. The circle of care. During my 3rd chemo session, I thought about Dad, about holding the basin for him, about sleeping on his couch, about being scared but showing up anyway. I get it now, I whispered. Why you did all of it. Why you planned everything. You were scared for me. You wanted me protected, safe, loved. That's what parents do, Grace said, holding my hand. That's what love does, I corrected. I beat the cancer, went into remission, got my life back, just like Dad had taught me. You fight, you document, you prepare, you survive. 40 years after Dad's death, I was 80 years old. Cameron was gone, peacefully, in his sleep. Grace was running the foundation now. The twins were starting their own families. I lived in a small cottage on what used to be the lake house property. I'd bought it back years ago, torn down the old house, too many bad memories, and built something new. Every morning I walked to the dock, the same dock where Veronica had tried to drown me, where I'd scattered Dad's ashes. Good morning, I'd say to the water, to the sky, to Dad, wherever he was. One morning, Grace found me there. Mom, you okay? Just thinking about Grandpa, about everything that happened. 40 years, that's a long time. Feels like yesterday sometimes. Feels like a lifetime ago others. Do you ever regret it? The fight? The foundation? All of it? Never. It's what he wanted. What he prepared me for. He prepared you to survive. You chose to thrive. That's all you. Maybe she was right. 45 years after Dad's death, I was 85. My health was failing. Nothing dramatic. Just the slow decline of a body that had lived a long, full life. I gathered my family, Grace, the twins, the great-grandchildren. I need to tell you something, I said, about your great-great-grandfather, about his gift. I told them the whole story. Every detail. The cancer, Veronica, the murders, the evidence, the trials, the foundation. He saved me, I said. Not just physically, not just financially, but spiritually. He taught me that love means protection, that family means sacrifice, that justice matters. We know, great-grandma, one of the twins said gently. You've lived that every day. Good, because now it's your turn. The foundation, the work, the mission. It's yours now. Keep it going. Keep helping people. Keep honoring his memory. They promised they would. 50 years after Dad's death, I lay in hospice. The same hospice where Dad had spent his last days. Grace was there, holding my hand, just like I'd held Dad's. I'm scared, I whispered. I know, Mom, but you're so brave. The bravest person I know. I learned from the best. Grandpa? Yes. He showed me how to face death with dignity, with purpose, with love. You showed me that too. I smiled. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was the real legacy. Not the money, not the foundation, but the love passed down through generations. Tell them about him, I said. When I'm gone, tell them all about Gregory Thomas Miller, about how he loved me, how he saved me, how he changed everything. I promise. That night, I dreamed about Dad one last time. We were at the lake, young again, both of us healthy and whole. I did it, I told him. Everything you wanted, everything you hoped for. I know. I've been watching. Was it enough? It was everything. I miss you. I've missed you every day for 50 years. I know, but you were never alone. I was always here. He touched my chest, over my heart, right here, always. All the stars, now and forever. I woke up peaceful, ready. Grace was still there, holding my hand. I love you, I told her, more than all the stars. I love you too, Mom. I closed my eyes and went to find my dad. Epilogue. The Gregory Thomas Miller Foundation operates to this day. Over its 75-year history, it has helped more than 500,000 families affected by cancer. It has prevented countless tragedies, saved countless lives. Every director since Natalie has kept her tradition, telling families about Gregory, about his love for his daughter, about his final gift. He knew he was dying, they say. But he didn't waste his last months on bitterness. He spent them on love, on protection, on purpose. That's what we do here. Veronica Lark, born Violet Larson, died in prison after serving 11 years of her life sentence. She is buried in an unmarked grave. Diane Lark died in prison after serving 6 years. Dustin Carver was released after serving 10 years. He died 3 months later in a car accident. Whether it was truly an accident remains uncertain. Trent Miller became a family therapist, specializing in helping families deal with toxic relationships. He never forgot what his sister taught him about forgiveness and redemption. Detective Angela Reeves published a book about the Lark case. It became a bestseller. All proceeds went to the Gregory Thomas Miller Foundation. Mr. Patterson lived to be 96. He attended the foundation's 50th anniversary celebration in a wheelchair, still sharp and still proud of the girl he'd helped protect. And Natalie, she lived to be 88. Mother to Grace, grandmother to twins, great-grandmother to 6, great-great-grandmother to 11. But more than that, she was her father's daughter. Brave, strategic, loving. She turned tragedy into triumph, pain into purpose, loss into legacy. And she never forgot the man who made it all possible. Gregory Thomas Miller loved his daughter more than all the stars. She loved him the same way. And that love changed the world.